Ferrari will start the Bahrain Grand Prix on the front row with Charles Leclerc. This is excellent news for the Italian side in Formula One, as Ferrari is able to try to capitalize on this important opportunity thanks to the double penalty received by the Mercedes drivers. The Bahrain Grand Prix qualifying confirmed the excellent form of Oscar Piastri, who delivered an outstanding performance to crown a perfect weekend so far, in full continuity with what had been seen in the last free practice sessions. The young Australian was extremely effective in putting the lap together, fully exploiting the potential of a well-balanced and precise McLaren at every point on the track. On the other side, Charles Leclerc brought his SF25 to third position, the highest result realistically achievable at the moment. The Monegasque beat his teammate by a full plus 0.598 seconds. He did so by confirming that he had found a more effective way to extract performance from a complex and often unpredictable car, as we pointed out in the previous video. An encouraging sign, considering the difficulties faced in the first 3 races of the 2025 Formula One season. As already highlighted in the analysis of the second free practice session, the SF25 single-seater showed understeer, but to a lesser extent than in China and Japan. Charles Leclerc is better at stitching together the racing lines, brushing the inside curbs with greater precision. However, slight oversteer emerges in some sections of the track, particularly during liftoff and transition phases. This is a minor annoyance that slightly affects performance, although in some cases the Monegasque driver has been able to turn this trait to his advantage. Telemetry data analysis immediately reveals a crucial detail in the first sector. Charles Leclerc loses significant ground coming out of turn 2, a point where excellent traction is essential in order to launch toward the straight leading to turn 3. Here, the McLaren MCL39 shines. The setup of the rear dampers appears to be more tuned to quick compression, helping the car to settle effectively and release torque more progressively. The Papaya speed trace rises earlier and more steeply than the red one, demonstrating more effective traction and better mechanical connection with the rear. At the end of the second DRS zone, entering turn 4, Charles Leclerc loses another tenth. Despite having higher cornering speed, up to plus 4 km per hour, the Monegasque driver exits too wide, having to delay throttle application. This is a point he and his engineer worked on extensively during the F1 weekend, trying to maximize entry and mid-corner speed, even at the cost of slightly sacrificing the exit phase. Oscar Piastri, by contrast, adopts a more conservative approach on entry to turn 4, lifting off earlier than Charles Leclerc. This allows for a much cleaner, more linear, and immediate exit, with excellent steering response. His racing line appears more composed, the result of well-centered balance and strong confidence in the rear end. Continuing through the lap, in the snake section, turns 5, 6, 7, the delta still favors Oscar Piastri, who carries more speed through each corner, up to plus 5 km per hour, and especially navigates these direction changes with remarkable ease, his steering points precisely where he wants to go. This results in a clean line without any corrections, allowing him to consistently mount every inside curb. Charles Leclerc's difficulty at this section is evident in the lift he has to apply between turns 6 and 7, about 15% more than the Australian, indicating that the Monegasque was not entirely confident with his car in this part of the track. Heading toward the end of the second sector, Charles Leclerc starts to recover some ground, even in corners like turn 10, where he was losing significant traction in the second free practice session on Friday. But turn 11 remains a weak spot. The number 81 MCL39 continues to make the difference here, giving Oscar Piastri a second sector time of 38.574, about a tenth and a half quicker than the Ferrari driver. This gap is almost entirely concentrated in that corner. The McLaren sticks to the track surface, showing perfect balance. No steering corrections, no hesitation, just a smooth and composed progression. The Australian driver can open the throttle much earlier, and with a stability that lets him power out strongly without compromising his line. Charles Leclerc, by contrast, finds the rear end too loose, with even excessive rotation that, while helping corner entry, complicates throttle reapplication. The same situation repeats at turn 13, where the Papaya car dominates the microsectors. The Ferrari SF25, though not behaving dramatically, shows more corrections, a sign of a narrower and less stable operating window compared to the McLaren. In the final part of the track, once again, the British car appears to have more rubber left to exploit, managing to maximize grip even in the closing parts of the lap when tire condition begins to degrade. This indicates better thermal management and a more even load distribution between front and rear, allowing Piastri to push all the way to the final meter. Ferrari is not at its best, but is making progress. Charles Leclerc admitted he didn't expect such a result, but is starting to think the work of the past few weeks is finally paying off. He has tried different setup solutions, as we know, without going against the team and by choosing a new driving style. The Monegasque has found a direction that seems tailor-made for him. Now he's able to get more out of the SF25. After qualifying, the Ferrari man highlighted how crucial the support from the team, both on track and in Maranello, has been. Everything worked as expected. He knows the race will be a different story, but thanks to George Russell's disqualification, he gets the satisfaction of starting from the front row. Holding that position won't be easy, but he'll try. It would be a great morale boost and an important push for the entire team. Looking at his performance, it's clear how Charles Leclerc is using the SF25's flaws to his advantage. That's why he seems very pleased with his lap. He feels he got absolutely everything out of it. He's been working in a specific direction for a few race weekends now, and the signs remain encouraging. He feels more and more at ease with the car, the new setup suits him well, and this is motivating him a lot. The Ferrari driver also explained that being so close to McLaren in qualifying was unexpected. In fact, he thought both W16 Mercedes cars would be more of a threat. Looking ahead to the race, he remains realistic. In his view, Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris will have a bit more pace. He saw the times from the final free practice session at the Bahrain International Circuit, and like many in the paddock, wondered how they managed to do it. Finally, he thanked the team for the effort in bringing updates, even if he knows this track isn't the best to fully showcase them. Charles Leclerc is giving more trust to his car, even though it doesn't offer much to the drivers. There are still several ongoing issues, and Charles Leclerc is driving above the SF25's actual potential. This is evident in certain parts of the track, where the Monegasque lets the car flow more, with the rear getting light and tending to lose grip in various corners. By keeping his foot down, he managed to gain valuable time, pushing his car to the limit through high-speed sections, especially in the Snake, although still slower than the Super McLaren and the Mercedes. Most likely, the Maranello team is still using ride heights slightly higher than they'd like. This is noticeable when observing performance through turns 5, 6, and 7. Confirming what we have analyzed in recent days, Charles Leclerc is very good at managing the lack of rotation, unlike his teammate who simply can't handle it. The 27-year-old driver attacks the inside curbs much more aggressively. The SF25 car isn't perfect and gets unsettled, but he is excellent at managing his line with many tiny micro-corrections, which of course costs some time on the stopwatch. However, over the course of the whole lap, this approach pays off. In addition, Charles Leclerc applies a much more effective brake pedal pressure profile to manage the understeer. Moreover, Ferrari has generally decided to move the brake balance rearwards, both via brake balance and the latest setting of brake migration. Lewis Hamilton seems a bit lost and hasn't yet adapted. This afternoon we'll find out if, with a full fuel load, like in Japan, Charles Leclerc will be able to deliver a strong performance and fight for the podium. Starting up front will make his job easier, and if FP2 is accurate, the tire degradation on car number 16 looked very good. A clean start will be crucial. No mistakes allowed if the goal is to be achieved. One last final observation. The new floor will work better in Jeddah, as will Charles Leclerc's recent adjustments. But there is plenty of time to talk about this later.